Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bluhdhaven podcast, episode number 80. As always, I'm your host, Balfour and Buddy. Today, I'm joined with
Buddy.
So a few announcements before we begin. I wrote a large blog post on the site, so you guys will be getting this podcast a day later. So we are actually moving our production schedule a little bit. We are moving the Bluhdhaven podcast to a Thursday release date. So instead of getting it on Wednesday, you guys will be getting the podcast, the Bluhdhaven podcast specifically, every Thursday. So welcome to the Thursday show, I guess. The reason why we're doing that, just for a little disclosure, is because we have a couple of projects that are in the works, and we felt like it was better for us to release content on more of a daily basis as opposed to oversaturating our projects all on the same day. So we have a couple of things that we are working on right now, and this will kind of allow us to dedicate certain days to certain projects. So this will help us out in the long run, and hopefully it'll help you guys to enjoy more of our content. So that's the big announcement for today. Obviously it's Thursday, so for the people who are like, where's the podcast on Wednesday? Change your day. But other than that, I think that's it. I think that was the only major update. Oh, there's the new Jaws Act 2 video that's up on the set right now.
Hell yeah.
So we got to fight.
As a shark.
We got to fight Buddy. Dude, you were actually doing pretty good. Like you almost beat us because that boat was almost dead.
That's true. I was mostly focusing on the boat. I was like, fuck you guys are gonna destroy me.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. So if you guys have not checked it out yet, make sure to go check out Act 2 on the website. If you guys missed the first act of Jaws, it is now available on our YouTube channel as well. As a reminder, all of our videos, other than the video version of the podcast, are uploaded to our YouTube channel the week after it's uploaded on our site. But with that being said, we're going to jump into the podcast. We're going to talk about some video game news, as well as some mistakes that were made during the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Yeah, so I had trouble with Streamlabs for a bit because the desktop audio wasn't picking up for any reason.
Specifically with Streamlabs OBS.
Specifically with Streamlabs, yes. Yeah, with like OG OBS, it worked fine. So Balfour was so kind enough to take time out of his busy schedule to help me, and he gave me some new troubleshooting stuff and everything else. So I was still having trouble, and then I was talking with a friend on Discord, and they go, "Did you check your volume mixer?" Huh?
Oh my god.
Yep. I went on volume mixer. It was like Streamlabs 64, whatever. That volume was
all the way down.
I picked it up.
God.
It worked. I wanted to fucking hurt myself. So bad. I was like, I'm fucking stupid. And they were just like, no, it's okay. It's a common mistake. A common fucking mistake that was overlooked.
So, for those who don't know, on the PC, there's a thing called an audio mixer tool. It's essentially a tool where you can change the volume status of each application that you have open. Well, because Buddy decided to mute it, Streamlabs OBS wasn't picking up the audio. One of the things that we did not troubleshoot because I didn't think that was something that Buddy would have done.
Oh, now we're saying we, motherfucker? 5 minutes before this podcast, like, you mean you? You mean you little bitch.
Well, no, I mean, like, it still is you. Why did you mute Streamlabs OBS?
I didn't mute it. I just lowered it.
Why?
I don't remember touching it. That's the thing. I never touched it.
If this is Mari, we would determine that was a lie.
It's not a lie, you fucking ass. I don't remember. I don't touch that.
It's just been really funny because over the last few weeks, because obviously Buddy streams on our channel on Thursdays. So like trying to troubleshoot everything and make sure everything was good was just very frustrating for both of us. But now everything's fine. Everything's good. You streamed on Thursday, and everything seemed to be working fine. So it is what it is.
Every now and then, I forget the alert bugs to just like get a little bit of your stress in there.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, just. There has to be a way to lock it. There has to be a way for you to lock that at the very top.
I think there is, actually.
Either that or when you put a new input, just remember to go down.
I know.
This is why whenever I go... We're going to do a little streaming 101 right here. This is why before I go live, I say we're going live at like noon, right? I am up and on the computer at 11 to troubleshoot everything, to make sure that the game is there, to make sure the audio is there, to make sure that the microphones are being picked up.
I do it every like 15 minutes.
I know you do, because it stresses me out. Because I'll be up at 9, and then I'll message you at like 10:45. I'll be like, hey, dude, can't wait for the stream today. Your icon is still in the gray, and I'm like, buddy, wake up. For the love of God, wake up. And then it'll be like 11:32, and then I see that your phone is on, and I'm like, get on your computer! Like, internally, I'm screaming. And then it'll be like 11:59, and I'm like, he's still not on his computer. His icon's not there. 12:05, I'm like, you're 5 minutes late! But yeah, so that's a little backstory.
I don't do this on purpose, folks. I'm usually a very on time person, but just for some reason.
I will say, you're always on time for our production days and for everything else that we need to do.
When it comes to this,
I don't know what's happening with you on Thursdays. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
A lot of things you don't have time for. We can say that for the after dark.
This is true. That is something. So that is something that we've joked about on the podcast for the last few months or so.
Yeah.
But so we are actually going to be going forward with a Bluhdhaven After Dark podcast. It won't be as easily available as the rest of our content for obvious reasons. But it will be a site exclusive coming out soon. We do not have a release date for it just yet. It's still in pre-production, but we can guarantee you that is going to be a thing that we're going to do. It won't be a weekly show like the rest of our stuff.
Maybe like a monthly thing.
Yeah, it'll probably be like a monthly podcast video. Because again, it's not going to be on like Spotify or anything else. It's going to be exclusively to our site.
Because of what we'll talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there's a lot of other podcasts that could get away with it. We'd rather not take that risk.
Yeah, I think because this is a little different than the other content that we create. So because it's a niche type of thing, we're going to be primarily premiering it on our website. It won't be on Spotify. It won't be on Apple Podcasts. Whenever we plug it in, it'll be very seldom. Mm-hmm. Just again because of the content that we're going to be making for it, the subject matter, and honestly, it's going to be a little vulnerable for the people who are going to be on it. We're going to be talking about a
lot of dark things.
Yeah, a lot of under the skin type of stuff. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out for that. And obviously, whenever we go live with it, we'll be posting it, but it won't be as in your face as a lot of our other stuff is. But yeah, so Buddy has learned a lesson, and I'm happy for it, and I love him dearly.
No, you don't. Once this podcast ends, folks, I'm gonna have a shiner just right on my right eye.
It's true. It's true. That's called discipline. No,
let's not forget the fact that this man praises me. This man gets me food every now and again. No, he just beats me. I
have to balance it out somehow. Oh my God. No, Buddy is amazing.
Satire, folks. This is all a joke.
For Gen Z people who are like, oh my God, he said that? How offensive.
All a joke.
Yeah. Understand what satire is,
Jesus Christ. I've known him long enough to I sound serious, but he knows I'm being completely a goofball.
Yes. We'll say. That's why we love Buddy for who he is. But yeah, so we're going to jump into some video game topics here. There wasn't a huge amount of video game news this past week.
Not much. There was a thing, apparently, there's the new Stream Deck.
Yes,
Steam Deck, excuse me.
Steam Deck. So, it actually looks pretty cool. I mean,
it's
a disc. Well, I don't want to say discount, but it's Steam's response to the Nintendo Switch, which I find it very strange that it took them this long to develop it.
I think because of the fact they're just like, hey, we did the new Wii something. It's just basically a more updated fucking Switch. So they're like, you know what? If they could do this shit, we can as well.
We can get away with this. Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I mean, from my understanding, like a lot of people are going to be buying it for a lot of their indie titles. You know? So which I totally get. And especially now that there's so many games that are controller compatible. I can totally see this thing being a massive success.
Yeah. I still want to get their VR headset eventually.
Yeah, I want to do VR stuff so bad, but I just don't have the space for it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of space.
Yeah, like I mean, like it doesn't take like a crazy amount. Like I'm sure if we cleared this,
You
area
can,
out,
but it's
we
still
could do it,
just...
but it's not as convenient.
Mm-hmm. You need, if anything, a specified room for it would be the best.
Yeah, one day, whenever we get a bigger studio space, then potentially we'll do some more VR stuff.
The reason why I say I like the Valve one better because there's more like stuff with it. Like there's more not the word not ambidextrous, but like more movement, more fluidity.
Oh, like motion stuff?
Yeah, so like you can actually make yourself flip someone off with it, or like do hand motions and all that.
because they have the new. It's like it's still the controller, but it's like
the
inputs are like
it like tries to capture your fingers and all that, which is cool.
I think I would honestly, what I'm probably gonna wait for, I'm gonna wait until we get a very consistent consumer model where like I can just put a glove on.
Yeah.
Like just full on glove.
Ready Player One.
Yeah, exactly. And just do it that way because I feel like that would be a little more interesting for me.
Yeah, it would be. Than just having the
Another reason why I want to get it too is because I love Beat Saber.
I like Beat Saber. I guess I like the, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word I'm looking for here. I can't think of the word for it. The interest, we'll say. I see why people like it a lot, but I'm over here just going, I could just play Guitar Hero.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's definitely not for everyone.
Yeah, it's not.
But, like, I'm a huge rhythm game person. Like,
That's
I
true.
always have been.
Yeah.
I always will. I mean, like, I like Guitar Hero I fucking love. I played the crap out of Rock Band. I think the only beat game I've never played was the DJ Hero because it didn't interest me.
That was a niche kind of thing.
Yeah, because it was all like I know it was like you can mesh two songs together and stuff, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
and I get why people liked it, but I just didn't like it. But like I even played like Donkey Konga growing up, DDR.
Oh my god, yeah. I forgot about Donkey Konga.
Donkey Konga.
I was never a fan of DDR. That was too much movement for me. Still
fucking love DDR. I can still dance on expert. So
you son of a
as
bitch.
long because anytime I go to like a bar or like an arcade or whatever, yeah, I'll play one just to see if I can still play expert. And the last time I played it was at I think Dave and Buster's.
Okay, yeah, Dave and Buster's has one. Cobra Arcade.
And I was still able to do expert 3 songs all the way through. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not getting too old yet.
Fuck you. We're not that far from each other, you bastard.
That's gonna be my indication.
That's gonna be your indication.
Like as soon as I go from expert down to standard, I'm gonna be like, fuck, I'm getting old.
He has a midlife crisis. Buys a motorcycle.
I don't know what I'm excited for my midlife crisis because I'm really curious as to see what I'm gonna do because like
just travels abroad and it's really that's what I'd see you doing as a midlife crisis is traveling abroad.
Yeah, either that or like buying land and just making a house.
As soon as you said that, for people who ever played Red Dead Redemption, where you play Red Dead Redemption 2, where you build the house, I just hear that song in my head with you doing that shit.
Hell yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, honestly, like, because, I mean, like, I've already seen people, like, buy their Mustang and all that junk, right? I honestly feel like let me buy land out in, like, England, right? And then, like, I would just build, like, a hut, build a small house.
Become a hermit.
Once Bluhdhaven Entertainment gets big enough where I can be like, all right, y'all, like, I'm gonna take 8 months off. I'm gonna be on a sabbatical. Like, you guys create the content. I'm gonna be gone. I'll build a house.
Yeah, he'll build a house, and then like one of us is streaming. We're just gonna say, "Internet's up," and then just gone after that.
Hold on, you're a little too hot.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Midlife crises are crises are just. It's very interesting to see what people do. Like my grandfather bought 2 Mustangs.
Jesus.
Because my grandfather was a civil engineer for like 30 years.
Oh, fuck.
And as soon as he retired, he bought his first Mustang. And then as the years gone by, his daughter ended up taking the Mustang and using it so often. So then he was just like, fuck it, buy a new Mustang.
That makes sense.
So, and then my other grandfather has like a fucking convertible sports and BMW type of car. Be a doctor, man. Doctors is where it's at. But yeah, I mean, like, and then my grandmother just bought a new Lexus. Like, I feel like once you're old, you just buy cars.
Yeah, I see. So I can see that.
Like, if you're not already in your 20s being like a machine head, then you're in your, like, when you're old, then you're just like, all right, fuck it, I'm just gonna get a cool car.
Yeah, that makes
Because I have a lot of friends who are like really big into the car scene here in town. Like they have like an Audi A3, like a 1968 Ford that's like supercharged with like a crazy engine and stuff like that. And I'm like, that looks like an expensive ass hobby.
No, it is. No, it really. Well, any hobby that you like is going to be expensive.
True. I mean, like, look at even video games.
Oh yeah,
Video games are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
But even like being a musician, like gear, accumulatively is expensive. Like, yeah, you know, like it's only what, like $9 for a set of strings, right? But if you're playing a lot, you know, you have to change out your strings pretty frequently.
Yeah.
Even amplifiers. Like, amplifiers are a pretty penny. I mean, you can get a decent one for like $80, but
still,
if you want you want
like an orange casket and all that,
yeah, like
that's like almost
even like the Fender ones, man. Fender ones are fucking expensive.
Well, Fender's always been expensive.
That's true. Because you're paying for the name, not necessarily.
Yeah,
you're
paying for the. Yeah.
But even then, it's like it does stack. I mean, then if you're playing electric, then you're talking about pedals. If you're playing acoustic, then you're talking about, you know, your different capos and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, yeah, any hobby gets expensive. Like, even if you're a crafty person, right? Like, you have to go buy a canvas, then you have to go buy the paints, then you have to buy the brushes. Like, when you think about it, your hobbies are the most expensive thing in your life.
They are. Like, mine, I think, would more than likely be video games. And that shit is fucking expensive. It stacks.
Yeah, I mean, like, shit. Even consoles, right? Like, if you pay for a console, which is between $300 and $500, right? Which is just for the console, just for the machine.
Just for the machine.
And then you have to buy $60 games, or if you're really interested, the $100 games. But then if you have a PC, right? PCs are even more than that. Like, you can get a decent one for like $600, $800. But like, if you want an actual gaming PC without buying them, right? And if you don't have the prior knowledge to build a PC, right? Mm-hmm. If you're gonna buy like an all-in-one, then you're looking at like $1,300, right? For a good PC,
yeah.
To like run certain games at like medium level. But then if you want to get into the hobby of building PCs, then that's a whole other monster in itself, because you're learning about all the different components. Each component is so fucking expensive. Why the fuck are processors so goddamn expensive?
That's why I thought it was so cool watching fucking Henry Cavill build a PC. That was like the best thing ever. And I know like everyone was like so confused but also so just like intrigued. Just the fact that like you have this hunk celebrity who's a fucking nerd, all right? Now, I understand there are a lot of celebrity nerds out there, but look at Henry Cavill. Mm-hmm. Okay, he does Witcher, he's done Superman for a bit, he's done Mission Impossible.
Yeah, he's done Mission Impossible. He was, and this is actually pretty cool, one of my favorite movies, mm-hmm. even though it takes a lot of liberties from the book, is The Count of Monte Cristo. He's in that.
Oh.
He is the young kid in that movie.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
See, again, you wouldn't expect that man to be a huge fucking nerd.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So it's just like, and I thought it was so great. I sometimes go through the video just for this specific part, because he has Barry White playing in the background of that. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
There's one part where he's like building his PC, but the way how it looks very suggestive. He like looks at the camera, like he sees what he's doing, looks up and he goes, "That's not what I'm doing," and then he shows what he's doing.
Yeah, no, I think it is very comforting. Like, I think you and I, like our generation, grew up in a great time, because as kids, right, mm-hmm. playing video games was still stigmatized.
Yeah.
Like, video games, D&D, like mm-hmm. tabletop gaming, like that was, growing up, that was still stigmatized. And it wasn't until like late high school that it started becoming really popular.
Yeah.
Like really like pulp culture cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it is nice now that there's so many people in the entertainment industry who talk about the love for gaming, and then it validates, so many different people.
Yeah.
Especially now that, we're getting closer to our 30s. It's just so nice to be able to say that and look back and be like, yeah, fuck it, we still like video games.
Yeah.
Like, video games are a huge part of pulp culture now. Not saying that it wasn't back in the day, but it's not as stigmatized as it was.
Yeah, because I remember watching a thing of like, if you play violent video games, you're going to end up being a serial killer. And I'm like, listen.
Dude, remember the early 2000s with that whole bullshit? Like, GTA being like, if your kid plays GTA, they are going to kill someone.
Yeah.
Or, even the early Call of Duties. Like, not even Call of Duty. Like, the Medal of Honor series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if kids play the Medal of Honor series, then they're going to learn to be killers in the future.
Or like the one thing was like, or they went off of a thing of when a kid shot up a school, his like thing was like, life is like a video game, everyone's gonna die someday. I was just like, I think the fuck not. I'm 26 years old. I may have a lot of things wrong with me, but I never wanted to actually go out and kill someone.
And I think it's an interesting thing as individuals who suffer from mental health, right?
Yeah.
We've never thought about that. Like, we play Halo, we play Call of Duty. You play all of those army games that are literally about wars.
Yeah, no.
Using tanks and bazookas and all of that junk. Not once has there been an instance where I'm like, yeah, I'm influenced by this game, I'm gonna go murder someone.
Yeah, or just like, granted, there's been, when I played this, I was like, I'd like to join the military. And then as I got older, I was like, I'm good.
I have common sense.
No, I don't have common sense. It's just more the fact that they won't take me.
Oh, sad day. No, but I mean, like, that's...
No, but that is true. No.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even stepping aside from that, though, it's like, when people said, oh...
They even said the same thing with television so many years ago. Like,
yeah.
If you watch, like, very, like, violent TV shows or just movies and that show on the TV, you're going to be underdeveloped. You're going to, like, eventually have, psychopathic or...
See, the thing for me is, and this has been kind of the thing that's been in my brain for, like, the last few years, is, like, the context of the content is what's important.
Yeah. As
long as you explain why this is being showcased, then it makes sense. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing violence for the sake of violence, that's one thing, right? Because then you're just like, okay, well, that's just dumb.
Yeah.
But if the violence occurs because of events that led up to that, and you explain the context, then it makes way more sense. Excuse me.
Nice.
Granted, that's not the way that it works in real life, but I think that kind of helps counter the argument of, oh, well, if you watch this, then you're going to become, a serial killer. Yeah. Look at Dexter. Dexter is literally about an entire series about a serial killer.
And people love that show.
Yeah. Are there a ton of serial killers inspired by Dexter? Not saying there's not, but there's probably not as big of a number if whatever these individuals in legislature are claiming there to be. Yeah. Like, I don't think there's a massive correlation between the content that you consume into, you becoming a psychopath.
Yeah, granted, I will say, since I was a shut-in for most of my life, there's also the thing of, like, there's also that line of, like, the difference between reality and whatever, usually.
Yeah.
But I know that since I was a shut-in, I didn't know the difference between that most of the time, and I had to learn that the hard way. But I still learned. That's the point I'm getting across.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest lesson that people need to understand. And honestly, like, ever since I was a kid, my mom and I always talked about this. It goes back to parenting. Like,
yeah, no, it does.
Like, as long as if you have a child, teach them the difference between reality and fantasy. Mm-hmm. And make sure that they understand the line between the two. Because it's totally fine living in a fantasy world, as long as you understand that it's a fantasy world. I mean, this is coming from someone who loves RPGs. I absolutely love role-playing. But I also understand the difference between when I'm playing a character and, reality. Because reality is lame. And I get it. Some people can't take themselves out because they don't want to feel uncomfortable in reality. But if you're a good parent and you teach your children that distinction, then, then there won't be massive problems in the future is all I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just interesting. And, you know, like, I'm really happy that we're getting away from the whole, like, oh, he plays games in his mother's basement type of thing. Because now it's like...
That's still like an insult people use, but it's just like...
Oh, no, it definitely is. But, I mean, like, when you have people like Henry Cavill who come out and it's like, he's fucking shredded.
Yeah, that
dude is successful
and he
as fuck.
fucking does WoW raids.
He plays WoW. He plays World of Warcraft. Religiously.
Wasn't there something where, like, when he was on the set or something, he's like, before he would go on or whatever, he had to, like, do a raid? Wasn't there, like, an interview?
Yeah, so I think it was for...
Wasn't it for Witcher?
No. It was for one of his breakout roles.
Oh, okay.
I think... No. The story was he was waiting a call back from his agent in regards to the Superman movie.
Oh, right.
And he had missed the call from Zack Snyder himself because he was in the middle of a raid. And he had missed it. He'd gone through the raid and then called him back. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, what is this regarding? And then, you know, he was like, yeah, you're Superman. And he was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But yeah, he missed a call from Zack Snyder letting him know that he was Superman because he was playing WoW. And I think, again, it's a nice story to hear about because someone who is that successful, right? Someone who of his stature still enjoys the time of a video game. And, you know, I think B is kind of learning this too because she always looked at video games, not necessarily as a waste of time, but she herself just didn't understand.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've been playing...
It was a learning curve for her.
Yeah, exactly. We've been playing Dark Alliance with Brandy.
So
and
fun.
Dude, it is so much fun.
I'm like, I'm a little jealous, but at the same time, I'm like, I'll eventually get it. It's on Steam for like $30.
Yeah, it's totally worth it.
It looks fun.
And plus, they're going to be coming out with new content soon, too. But, yeah, so we've been playing that with her. And, you know, obviously, she doesn't play video games, so she's learning. So I'm kind of like, you know, teaching her the mechanics and going through it. And then right after we played Dark Alliance the other day, she started playing Alien Isolation because she is a huge Alien fan.
Didn't she also have like the same like reaction when you're like, "Hey, you want to play D&D?" She just didn't understand it at that point.
Yeah, at first she was like, eh. And then after like we did like a one shot or whatever, she was like, "Oh, this looks cool. Like I want to play." So like it's a thing where even if you're not inherently interested, you know, in video games or whatever, you know, just take a look at it because you might just not be exposed to the right type of game. I know a lot of my friends who only play Vampire the Masquerade and they don't like D&D. And then vice versa. I know people who love D&D but don't care about Vampire the Masquerade. So I think it is really just trying to find the right mechanic and thing that interests you. There's always going to be something that is available to you. And I completely understand the worry of jumping into something that is so beloved and something that there's so many people who are passionate about it. It's super intimidating. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I don't get into Magic the Gathering. Because, like, I played when I was a kid with my friends, but, like, now, I could not step into it. I couldn't step into it just because there's so many different cards. There's the community is so passionate about it. And I know that is very you can be standoffish because it's just so intense.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm here to tell you that, and this is one of our mission statements for Bluhdhaven, is if you're interested in something, just reach out to us. We welcome everybody, any skill level. If you've never played before, we want to include you in any form or fashion. We want you guys to enjoy our content. Yeah. And it's literally made for everyone. Like we do not discriminate. We do not, you know, condemn people for not being for being unknowledgeable about it. You know, I give Buddy crap because he works with me.
Yeah, really.
But that's a completely different story. Like when we're doing stuff for fun, you know, a lot of our cast members, like they just come. A lot of our cast members have the easy part. I'm gonna bitch for a little bit.
No, it's well deserved.
Like, so everyone who comes and plays our games, that's literally all they do. They come and enjoy the tabletop. They come and enjoy the game, play through it, and have a great time. And I love hearing feedback from, you know, everyone who comes and plays. Because, like, you know, including you, Brandy, Mario, everyone, they leave the table being happy. And that is what we do here.
See, that's another thing I want to put too. Like with all the cast members we have, like they've enjoyed it so much. They're like, hey, is there something I can contribute? Like sometimes they'll bring in like different board games for us to try and whatnot. It's always very appreciative. It's just they enjoy it so much. Where we try to give an open arm or an open door like method or whatever, and they find ways to still come back and try to help in any way, shape, or form. So it's always nice.
Exactly. So it's always like a give or take here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that we have been operating, and we will continue to operate. So if you guys are ever interested in collaborating with us, you guys are more than welcome to. Something that we just added to the site, which I'm very excited for, is if you guys ever want to be a guest on our podcast, you guys can now apply by going to Bluhdhaven.com and checking out the Bluhdhaven podcast webpage. You guys can apply to be a guest. We try to get as many guests as possible, but because of our recording schedule, it's not always feasible for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we do have the time slot that is available for us. So if you guys are ever available on a Tuesday morning, you guys can submit your application by going to Bluhdhaven.com/the Bluhdhaven podcast. Just fill out the form right over there. You essentially just give me your contact information. That way we can go back and forth and figure out when we can have you on as a guest. Hopefully we get a couple of new people because a lot of it will probably be via Zoom or if you're here locally in Tucson that we can set something up. But I always enjoy having guests on just to kind of give it a little more insight as to what people are doing around the world. I know that our previous guests have been a lot of fun as an interview, so make sure to check that out. But we're going to take a small break right here, and we will be back in just a few minutes. So see you in a bit. Be sure to check out the official Bluhdhaven t-shirt by going to www.bluhdhaven.com/store. And welcome back. So jumping back into some video game news, for those who are big into card games, they just announced a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Digital card game.
Interesting.
Which, I'm not a huge Yu-Gi-Oh! Person, but I thought that was kind of cool, because I know there hasn't been a big Yu-Gi-Oh! Game in quite a long time.
Yeah. I think the only Yu-Gi-Oh! Game I remember is on Steam. It's called like Chaos or Dual Link or whatever.
Yeah, Dual Link. Dual Link was a big one, and it people liked it, but they were also kind of upset about it because it was a whole there's a lot of paywalls. So there's a point where you had to pay into the game in order for you to get stuff. Yeah. And we've talked about it a couple of times. Where it's can we just stop that? Can we just fucking stop with the pay to wins and the paywalls and honestly I wouldn't mind random loot if you didn't hide better stuff behind paywalls.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I thoroughly like Dark Alliance right now, because you can get amazing loot based on how difficult you make each level. It's still a looting system, which means there's still a role and a possibility to get stuff in game, but there's no paywall. It's not like you have to pay $20 for a pack of 20 things to get a 5% chance for a better item. You know what I mean? Everything is in game, and I'm fucking tired of having these games have these paywalls. It's so dumb. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people feel the same way, because from my understanding, other than these free-to-play battle royale games, right? A lot of the newer titles that have been released this year have all been relatively full games. In the sense of there's unlockables and you can get better items as you progress, which I hope we continue to get back to that point. I'm sorry, I'm burping a lot.
It's a gassy boy.
I haven't eaten today, that's why.
Make sure to eat after this.
You know what? Don't tell me how to live my life. I probably will. I'll probably cook something.
That's what
I thought. But yeah, I mean, it's just I'm hoping that this new Yu-Gi-Oh! One is like that, because so far from what they've said, it's not going to be like Duel Links. It is going to be a full game where you can get your cards in game. And I totally get it too from a business standpoint as to why there's so many microtransactions for a game, but I would love to be able to sit down with like one of their financial teams for like a AAA title, right? Just to see what the difference between pushing out a fully developed game is as opposed to like doing like Destiny 2, right? I love Destiny 2. And I think it's an interesting model because the way that the base game was made, it was designed to be a ever-changing game. But what is the difference in terms of how much money they make of developing a full, like we'll say like Halo 1, right? Full enclosed story where you can have a multiplayer experience, but like the full game itself is all enclosed. What is the financial difference between the two of that? Because I feel like with Destiny 2, you're spending more money over time because you're having to develop new content constantly. Mm-hmm. And not necessarily keeping the same amount of players. And even if you are, they're not necessarily buying the new content. So it's like, what is the difference there? Like, why are we moving to this never-ending microtransaction period as opposed to just getting full-length games?
I feel like there'd be something to like email their PR. Anything.
Yeah.
I feel like they would have at least somewhat of an answer for you. Granted, probably be like a very fluffed out answer because again, it's PR.
Yeah.
But you would still get something.
That's true. Maybe I'll do that. Just because I mean, it's just I've always been
it's a very curious thing. Yeah. It's just like where's like that fine line of just like Well,
because I know a lot of things are going from like video game to service game, like video games as a service, which is. Like, I don't know if it's inherently a good thing. I think, just for me, it's like I just enjoy being able to play through a game and unlock everything in it without having to pay additional money for it.
Yeah, just like, just locking behind, like, play it at the highest difficulty or get so many, go get so many, like, combo breakers or, shit like that. That was always fun.
It was fun because, like, you also got, like, achievements or unlockables, which then you can be like, I am happy because I was able to complete this hard-ass task. And now I have an award for it.
Yeah.
But, what happens when they have that in game and then they go, yeah, but if you pay $20, you can get it. It's like...
It just makes it now a very sour taste.
Yeah, because then it's like, you don't have that... It's the Hayabusa armor concept. You know what I mean? You ever played Halo 3?
No.
So in Halo 3, if you beat the entire game on Legendary with...
Lasso?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was Lasso. I think it was with specific skulls enabled.
Okay.
Then you got the Hayabusa armor, which was like a really cool, like Japanese inspired outfit. And that was the only way that you could get it is if you completed the game.
What, down like a few weeks down later, it's like you want to pay $20 for it.
No, they never did that.
Oh,
they never did that.
Okay, that's
which is why I was like the Hayabusa armor for Halo 3 was fucking awesome because if you saw someone with that, they did a specific thing.
That's true.
They also did a thing where if you killed a Bungie developer in multiplayer, you then got the fire helmet of the Hayabusa.
Oh.
Because that indicated you defeated, like you had to actually kill this person. And at the time, Bungie employees were actually really good. But it was one of those things where it was like, those were the little things that you saw in the community, in the game, where you're like, oh, fuck, I want that.
Do you think some of the people still play like Destiny or Halo, like some of the developers or whatnot?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because, I mean, there's a huge, like, despite a lot of us no longer playing, right?
Yeah.
There's a huge, massive community. And I'm sure as a developer, I mean, like, I've worked on projects where I'm like, I'm still super proud of, you know? So I can guarantee you that there's at least a few developers out there who've worked on Halo in the past, who are still playing Master Chief Collection right now, which is awesome because I feel like regardless of what you make, right, you're always going to have fond memories of whatever project you've been on, and you're going to want to go back and do stuff. I mean, like one of our first projects ever was before you and I were hanging out. It was when I was with my brother and a couple of our other friends. We called it the Advent Crew.
Ooh.
Because it was like the adventure crew, like, you know, we're going on adventures and doing shit. So I look back on those videos and I cringe so bad because I'm like, oof, God, this recording is like horrible. Right? Because we had like a really basic Pinnacle capture card, right? That only captured in like standard def.
Oh.
And also only shot in 4:3.
Oh. No,
So-
you poor bastard.
So, like, we were playing, like, N64 games. And then, like, all recording off of one really bad dynamic microphone that was, like, in the center of the room. But
the acoustics in that.
oh, dude, it was so bad.
You still have those?
It's on one of the hard drives in the other room.
I feel like that'd be something you could put behind a little like exclusive thing. It's just like, you want to see some cringe shit, or you want that stay in the archives.
So if he's listening, Chris, I'm gonna tell a story that doesn't give away the full context of it. But Chris was part of this video, and it was me, my brother, Chris, and one of our other friends at the time. And we were playing through FIFA 98 on the Nintendo 64. So we're playing soccer, and with all the FIFA games, you get to play different countries and stuff like that. And during this recording, there was a joke that was made at the time.
Oh no!
Which is definitely not appropriate for now.
And has not aged.
No, it is not. But the recording is fucking hilarious. And you can hear as all of us just bust out laugh, and just everyone exits the room. Like, you can hear it in the microphone, just because it was so bad. But it was so at that time it was like funny. Oh, God. Which is why it'll never be posted anywhere.
I can understand that, yeah.
Because again, we were just dumb teenagers.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
I can see that. It's not. Yeah, that's something you want to be.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely something, and that's when I knew that Chris was going to be my friend for life. So yeah, that'll be a video that never sees the light of day. But I definitely have a couple of those, especially because at that time, like, we were playing League of Legends, because that's when I was with Riot.
Yeah.
So like there was a lot of stuff back then. But I look back on it fondly, just being like, oh my god, like,
look how much you've grown.
Look at what I used to make. And like, I know, like, even now, like, our stuff is fairly amateur, mainly because of the lack of things that we have, but we're trying to make it better, and we're always trying to make it better for you guys. So it's one of the reasons why we took a 3-week hiatus from specific videos, because I felt like we weren't making the quality that I was expecting from us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
like you wanted to see your baby grow, not turn into something.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I still feel like there's a lot more stuff that I can be doing with our videos. Unfortunately, it's just because of my lack of time that I'm not able to really make them better. But I want to start doing more of that. Like, I do want to make our stuff far better quality than what it is now. And I feel like that is a good point to be at. I feel like if I ever get to the point where I'm like, yeah, this is okay, then there's a problem. Because then we're never going to continue to grow, which would then just sadden me and, sadden everyone else.
Yep.
But which is why, I enjoy having you and everyone else around me who are participating, because then, like, we bounce ideas off of each other, and do some really fun stuff. So, like, an example is Holly messaged me earlier this morning because they had missed Munchkin Monday yesterday. And, she was saying, like, oh, like, what if we do this and this and this? And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of a fun idea. But, how can we implement it in a way that's entertaining for the audience? Because it was a concept that would make fun for everyone at the table.
It's just a matter of, like, making it viewing.
Yeah, making it appealing to the audience. Which is always going to be a hard thing for us, because, especially with Munchkin Monday, it's a live stream, and unfortunately, one of the problems that we have with our Monday stream is connectivity issue. For some reason, every time we go live on Monday, like, our connectivity drops, and it's just a thing with Cox. Like, for some reason, they just throttle in the afternoon, so it's like it's very unfortunate. But, like, overall, the stream doesn't look bad. It's just those times where it does drop, and unfortunately, like, and I pay attention to it too. Is like, we'll be getting some good numbers, but as soon as it drops, it, like, a lot of people just leave, which I totally get. And, I'm not blaming them for anything. It's just the unfortunate circumstance of where we're at right now. But hopefully, eventually we'll be getting those, like, very big businessy internets.
Yeah.
But until then, we'll just make do with what we got. But yeah, with that being said, you know, I don't know. I was gonna say something right now, and I totally fucking blanked.
You was gonna say something very inspirational, and just
I may have. It could have been inspirational, or it could have just been flubber. I don't know.
it's a good movie.
Flubber, it is. Yeah, it is. Man, I miss Ron Williams, man.
Yeah.
Makes me sad anytime I think about him. He was an icon. That dude, like, he's one of the reasons why I've always wanted to try to be really good at improv. Because like the dude was just
he was just
the god of improv. If you guys are dealing with like social anxiety or anything like that, I recommend taking an improv class because
it helps.
You learn a lot about yourself at an improv class. You know, it helps with your social ability. It helps with your creativity. It helps with your thought process. So if you guys, you know, are going through anything, and if you guys have the free time, I know a lot of times you can find free classes locally. Like there's a lot of like improv classes that like you can come and check out for free. So if there's something like that available to you guys, I recommend go checking it out because it's a lot of fun. You may meet new people that, you know, can change your life for the better. I know a lot of people, especially out in LA, who've gone to like an improv class and that kind of started their, you know, the career in acting or even in finance. Like one of my friends met like a financial advisor there, and now she's like this fucking financial wizard out in New York. So you know, it's improv isn't just for acting. Is all I'm saying. It can help you out. But do you have any recommendations for this week for people to watch?
I do. It's the Pianist.
Dude, such a good movie.
That's a good fucking film. It's with
my God.
Adrian
Brody, dude.
And I forget the German's name, Kreisman or something like that. But it's basically it's the based off of the story of a guy named the pianist, same name, the Spielman, I think it is, during the war, the Poland. I think it's somewhere in Poland.
Invasion.
Yeah, of during the Second World War, where
here's the quick description.
Yeah.
A Polish Jewish musician struggles to survive the destruction of the Warsaw Ghetto of World War II.
Yep.
It is a gut-wrenching film.
It is.
It is so good. It is definitely a movie that you need to be. I feel like you need to be mentally prepared to go into. Because there's so much that goes on.
Yep.
It is a drama. It is a sad drama. You will leave. There's a couple of very uncomfortable scenes. That'll just leave you wanting to cry. Mm-hmm. It is a phenomenal film.
Adrian Brody really took that method.
Dude, he did.
Because there throughout the movie, we won't give like too much away, but like he progressively just gets like thin, and like he actually makes himself like go through that shit. And
yeah. Yeah, is he the one? He's the one where it was like he only ate. Was it like half an apple a day?
That was Christian Bale for The Machinist.
No, he had tuna in an apple.
Oh, okay.
I think Adrian Brody for the film
had like small
like a half an apple or something.
Jesus.
Because he was doing that while they were filming.
Yeah.
So like I think it was something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a fantastic movie.
It's a good film. The one part is why the fucking coat? I'm cold. It was fucking great. It's just that's the one thing I can say with just a little quick thing of just like putting small humor bits like that in films.
I think that's why it makes for such a great film though.
Yeah.
Because it definitely the pacing is really good, and they have lighthearted bits that make the dread okay.
Yeah.
Which is really, really good. Yeah, it's a
good film. Watch it.
Yeah, go check out The Pianist.
What's your recommendation?
In contrast to a great film, go watch Space Jam. The new Space Jam.
Okay, I was about to say, like, which one?
The new Space Jam.
Is it that bad?
It is. I think, my personal opinion, it is just as bad as the classic one. I am one of the people who thoroughly enjoyed it for what it was.
Okay.
I went in knowing that it was not going to be a good movie. Like, I know that it's not a great film, but it's fun. Okay. It is a fun kids movie.
Okay.
Obviously LeBron James is not an actor. Very evident that he's not an actor. And the story is, a little
rickety.
It's just, it had to make sense for itself, but it still doesn't make sense. Especially if you're someone who understands like technology and shit like that. But Don Cheadle acts his ass off in this movie, and it's so fucking good.
I love it.
Like Don Cheadle took that ridiculousness and he just went for it.
I gotta see this movie now.
Yeah, it's again, it's not a great movie, but it's just fun. Like it's a lot of good humor. People on reviews and stuff are like, "Oh, this is just like Warner Brothers throwing all their IPs out in the open and blah 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 blah." I don't think it was. It didn't feel that way. Like, yes, they did incorporate some of their other IPs into the movie, but it wasn't like thrown into your face just for the sake of doing it. It made sense to the story. And even then, it's not like they were predominant figures. It's still very much like Looney Tunes versus bad guys.
Yeah.
And I think I'm sure I'm a little biased, but it's like I love the Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Like, so it was just fun to see Bugs on screen again. So I think it was a lot of fun. Again, take it with a grain of salt. It's not a great movie.
Yeah.
But I think you will be laughing throughout it, because even B was laughing through the movie. We both knew how bad it was. And it is what it is. And for those who are saying like, you ruined my childhood, fuck you. You had your childhood. This isn't for you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not for you.
Like, for everyone, that's one of the things.
They're probably like, it's so hard, like trying to compare the two. It's like, you can't.
Yeah, they're
one was for specific people. The other one is for like these.
Yeah, it's definitely and I will say this movie is definitely made for the new generation.
That's why it's called The New Legacy.
Yeah, it's a good modern kids movie, and honestly, for you fucking adults who are like, my childhood is ruined, grow the fuck up. Like, it's not for you. Get over yourself. If you want to watch your childhood, it's available. Go watch it. I watched Space Jam like 2 weeks ago. It's still as good as I remember, and bad as I remember. So go do it. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching this episode of the podcast. Don't forget to go to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and subscribe to us there. Don't forget to go to Bluhdhaven.com for more of our content. Please do not forget to go check out Tucson by Night. A new episode was just released yesterday. And then we'll be back next week for another episode. So, see ya.